If you're a beginner musician playing a chorded instrument such as guitar, piano, ukulele, banjo, whatever this thing is, then you've probably at some point looked up the chords and the lyrics to some of your favorite songs. And perhaps you've thought to yourself, why do these chords work together? Why do they sound good? Why do they keep showing up again in different songs? Is this some kind of voodoo crazy magic, or is there kind of a method behind it? Today we're going to talk about how chords are built from the major scale and how those chords typically work together to build a chord progression. Let's take the major scale for example. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Now every major scale is a specific combination of whole steps and half steps, beginning and ending on the same note name. For instance, what I just played was C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now I mentioned whole steps and half steps. Let's begin by talking about half steps. A half step in the Western tonal system is the closest distance between two notes. For instance, on a keyboard, it's the very next key. On a guitar, it's one fret space. A whole step is when you combine two half steps or jump over a key. D to E, C to D. On a guitar, that's where you jump over a fret space. First fret to third fret, open to two. So this combination of whole steps and half steps applies to every major scale. The formula is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Now it doesn't matter what note we start on. As long as we follow that specific combination of whole steps and half steps, we end up with a major scale. We have C major, D major, so on and so forth. This is why some keys have sharps and some keys have flats. So at this point you might be thinking, okay, I get it. There's a formula and that's how you build major scales, and I can play any scale I want to, but what does that have to do with chords? You know, these things. Well, it has everything to do with chords. And we begin by referring to our notes by their associated scale degree. It's common practice to call our scale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and back to 1. Unless you play jazz, and then you just keep going 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Once we're comfortable with this number system, we start to think of a key, such as C major, by those numbers. So C becomes the 1, D becomes 2, E is 3, F is 4, G is 5, A is 6, B is 7, and C is 1. And then here's where it gets interesting. For every note of the major scale, we can build a chord, and we do this by stacking thirds. Now there are two different types of thirds, a minor third and a major third. A minor third is a whole step plus a half step, C to E flat. A major third is two whole steps, C to E. A triad is a group of three notes that are each a third apart. If you combine a minor third with a major third, you end up with a minor triad. If you have a major third with a minor third, you end up with a major triad. Now if you have two minor thirds, that's diminished. And when you finally have two major thirds, that's augmented. So let's build some triads in the key of C. We'll start on middle C, which is the first ledger line below the staff. Above that we add a major third, an E, and above that, a minor third above E is G. This gives us a C major triad. That's our one chord. If we continue this process with the rest of our scale, we get D, F, and A, D minor, E, G, and B, E minor, F, A, and C, F major, G, B, and D, G major, A, C, and E, A minor, B, D, and F, B diminished, and finally we're back to C, E, and G, C major. This order of chords is constant for all major keys. The 1 chord is major, the 2 chord is minor, the 3 chord is minor, the 4 and 5 chords are major, the 6 chord is minor, the 7 is diminished, and then we're back to 1. Just as we mentioned with the scale earlier, chords are often referred to by their scale degree. There are common chord progressions for different genres of music. For instance, a 1-4-5 is very common in rock, blues, pop, country, you name it. A 2-5-1 is very common in jazz. A 1-5-6-4 is definitely the most common chord progression you'll hear in pop music. There are hundreds of songs written with this chord progression. So the next time you go to learn the chords to one of your favorite songs, I would encourage you to use your ear. Try to figure out what key it's in, and then you can make some educated guesses as to what the chords are doing. Did it start on the 1 chord? Did it go to the 4? Did it go to the 5? You can figure these things out quickly and efficiently once you're familiar with how chords are built from the major scale.